Hey guys, back in the garage again. Working on patches. Game plan for today, we're right there with the bodywork. So, pretty much what we're gonna do, we're just gonna skim coat whatever we missed. Just go around and check everything. And when my son gets here, I want to pull the hood off because I already know the alignment on the hood. I already know that works. And we're gonna pull everything apart and put it back together anyway, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of tweaking here and there. And, hopefully we'll get the lines to match up again the way we did the first time. Right there. And on the other side also. Because I know when you take them apart, a lot of times when you put them back together, they don't go in the exact spot where you want them to, unless you sit there and fight with them. We got this here. I struggled a lot. I don't know if you saw when I put the fenders on this car with the ratchet straps and everything. That's really just a set. It's an extra set of hands. I could have done it without the ratchet straps, but they just help you out so much more. And now that everything's kind of like, it always seems whenever you screw something together like the fenders, even though they fight you, it seems after you're done tightening everything down and getting everything in place, when you loosen everything up, they just lay there. I don't know why. Maybe when you tighten it up, it just crushes the metal and puts everything where it needs to be. But that's about it. So, you know me, I could just ramble on forever. Game plan, let's just get this thing skim coated, touch up whatever we need to touch up. When my son gets here, we're going to take the hood off and then try to get that motor outside, paint it orange and clean it up. And I believe I gotta look for my flex plate bolts because I have to bolt the flex plate back onto the motor. I think I got them. I got them somewhere. So we could bolt everything together, and when we pull the nose off, we could slide everything right in and then just build the nose around it again when it's ready to go. I was gonna change the front suspension in the car, but I didn't want to go through the hassle now of just changing the pitman arm, the center link, and everything like that, the springs. So we're going to keep this frame. This frame's decent. It's not bad. So we're going to keep this frame. We're just going to redo the brakes on this. And the back brakes are like brand new. The back brakes must have just been done on that rear when they pulled it. And that's pretty much it. I'm still waiting on the heater core. Hopefully we'll have it the next day or two. I'm hoping to get a new heater core in. But I could always do the heater core afterwards. It's not that hard. Oh, we have to put that linkage in. Gas pedal linkage. This right here. It's so much easier to do when the motor's not in there. You could do it when the motor's in there, but it's just so much easier when the motor's not in there. Like everything, it's so much easier when the motor's not in there. So you know me, enough rambling. What do you say we have some fun with this? Here we go. All right, guys. I'm going to mix up some filler, but yesterday we sanded everything down. We were right there with it. So I just went around. I put some X's all around, so I know I don't miss anything. This panel's pretty good, actually. I mean, very few. Very, very few. This and here, throughout here, but I knew that. And I think that's it. A little bit here. A little bit here and here. But for the most part, once we skim that out and just sand it down real easy, we should be in pretty good shape with this car as far as being able to take the hood off it now and really start getting ready for primer and sealing, if we got to seal it. But that's about it. I wanted to tell you something. When Jerome was here, I had this sanded down, I thought, really, really well. And it was nice. It was smooth. And, you could still feel that little faintness of there was, like, some action going on in there. And Jerome's like, Al, you're going to kill me in a minute. I want to do something. And I'm like, all right. So he takes out... Where is it? Right here. So he takes out his sander with 40 grit on it. 40 grit. He's like, Al, check this out. So he ran the 40 grit down here. He didn't dig into it. He just ran it down. He's like, Al, it knocks down everything right away. So he knocked it down. He's like, now run your hand across it. And you're like, wow. You really notice the difference. I never in a million years would have thought of hitting it with 40 grit. I just thought that would have been too rough. He's like, no, Al. He's like, it knocks down all the high spots right away for you. And then you can go in there and start hitting it with finer and skimming it and everything like that. He's like, because you want to get rid of as much of this as you can. And I understand that. He's like, but sometimes you'll feather it in. Like I always do. You'll always see me feathering the edges first. And then I concentrate on the heavy stuff. He's like, no, Al. He's like, just knock it down. He's like, and then you go through it. And as you're going through it, then you feather it out. He's like, it really, really saves you a lot of time. And he was 100% right. So he gave me that little tip, and I thought that was awesome with him. I never would have put 40 grit on this car, and I probably would have spent so much more time sanding it down. I would have gotten it to where I wanted it, but this just shortcuts you right to where you got to go. And then you know you're going to have to polish it again anyway. So he's like, you know what? So you just hit it, and as you're polishing it, it takes those heavy lines out. He says you should be fine. So I'm following Jerome's lead, and he seems to be steering me in a pretty good direction. I hope there's no cliff coming by. But here we go. Let's say we'll mix up some filler, and then we're going to just skim coat this. All right, let me set you guys up. All right, we'll just skim this really quick. I mean, there's very, very little left on this. Oh boy, this is so soupy. This is the way I like it when you put a final little skim coat on. And I'm just going to use a little bit at a time. If we got to make up 2 or 3 more mixes, that's fine. Because I don't want this even getting close to drying while we're doing this. I'm going to put very little hardener in here. And even with the hardener, it's so hot out, it's going to want to dry right away. That's it. Tiny little drop. And I bet you this thing still dries in a minute. It's crazy. Now I'll try to keep the air bubbles out if I can. So one thing I like about this filler, it really minimizes the air bubbles you get in it. This is like soup. Woo! Just the way I like it, especially on a final polish coat. It just levels in so nicely. Even with that little drop, it's gonna dry so fast. Okay. Let's see what we can do with it. Like I say, we're right there with it. You know, let's hit the worst spot first, which should be down in here. Uh-oh. We'll get this. The only bummer about doing this outside is the sun just, I'm like blinded right now with the sun. Let's see. This isn't bad at all, honestly. I think we got very lucky with this and how this worked out. I think that's it over here, just this door and the top of the fender right here. I hope you guys can see. Yeah, that should do it. This over here. It's just a little bit. Like I say, doing spreading body filler, it's just like watching Bob Ross paint a picture. And we'll just add a little bit of filler right over here. Maybe a little more over here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to make it as interesting as possible. You just can't. Not with body filler. I try. I mean, this is... I have no complaints with that at all, honestly. Let's see what else we could find. I think I added the right amount of filler to this. Hardener. Because it's still right there. It's not dry yet. Now it's drying. But we're right there. Even if I have to mix up another batch, that'll be it. I think we're going to be done with all this body filler in a minute. Oh yeah, look at that. We just had enough to do what we wanted to do there. Now let me fin. Wow, this is it's dry. Ooh, very, very quick. What I try to do is spread it out here. Then I hit it with a DA, smoothing it out, and then I just use that. I went to my buddy's one day, and big body guy, does nice work. Actually does really nice work. And I go into his garage one day, and he's got this big, almost like a pizza box. And it's about an inch thick with body filler. And I'm like, and it was smooth. And I'm like, what is that? He's like, Al, after every time, if I have any filler left over, he's like, I spread it out on this pizza box. I DA it down nice and smooth. Now I use that as my mixing board, I guess. He's like, I've been using that same one for like 6 months. I was like, wow. He's like, yeah, you get a lot of use out of a pizza box. I'm like, all right, thanks for the tip. So ever since then, I used to use one of those plastic ones that you would mix up, and they would get dirty and trying to clean them. He's like, you know what, Alan, at the end, he's like, you just throw it out in the garbage. He's like, then you start all over again. So, you get 2 years out of one pizza box if you use the top and the bottom. So, enough babbling. I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to clean this off. I'll be right back. While that's drying, let's pull this motor out. So we can paint it. All right. My son just ran over to Mr. Wilson's to grab some flex plate bolts for this right here. There. Gonna get this on. We can't put this on until we can't put this on until we get this off of here. But we'll get it. Let's take this out, because it's just lying in there. Oh my gosh, this thing looks brand new in there. It looks brand new in there. Pretty happy with that. We're not going to use that HEI. We're going to go with a points distributor. I know everybody's like, oh, don't do points. I like it. You just drop it in. It looks nice and stock. In fact, the original. Somewhat. Let's grab this. See a hole, fill a hole. This here also. You got to close the spark plugs. I don't have any spark plugs for it, so you got to be careful with that. You know what? Let me get the airline so I can blow all that dirt off and dust. Let's see. Now, let's just take the pulleys off of this. We'll take whatever we can off. We'll paint it all up. And then we'll put it back together again. I'm going to need a 9/16. I'm going to need a couple of tools. I'll be right back. Guys, I'm sorry. I thought I had the camera on. I pulled the pulleys off and everything. The power steering pump, all that stuff. This motor was actually very clean. It was more dusty and a little bit of like grime of sitting in a garage, maybe like over here, like sitting in here. even the paint on it's in pretty good shape. So we're just gonna hit this with Chevy Orange. This shit looks nice inside the car. So let's see how it comes out. I hope it comes out okay. I think it will. The paint should grab pretty well. I sprayed it all down with brake clean. So it should look okay, I think. It should look fine, actually. Alright, let me just get... Oh, you know. Hold on. You know, let me hook the engine crane up to it so I can jack it up. We can paint the oil pan. We'll put it back down. It's going to get scratched and everything, but at least it'll all be painted, and then I'll just have to touch it up when it's in the car, if we have to. All right, so give me a second. Let me set this thing up so we can get this done. You know what? I'm not even going to do the oil pan right now. When I go to jack it up and eventually put it in the car, that's when I'll hit it really quick. So for now, take a look. We'll put the pulleys back on, paint them black, and this motor's ready to go in. Alrighty, give me a second, all right? You know, my son should be back soon, so what do you say we just knock this down real quick? Everything that we put on. Then I'll come back with the longboard and try to smooth it out as best we can. All right, so here we go. Just stop for a second, guys. My son's back. So while he's here, let's pull the hood off of this car. I think we're gonna put it on the Mustang. I don't know if you get to see. I don't know where to put you guys, honestly. Alrighty. Okay. I'll lift it. Ooh. Let me know when you're good on the bottom. Okay, here we go. You're gonna have to. All right. Now, if you can hold the hood up when you're all set, then I'll pull this bolt out. Okay. I'll tilt it. Now, give me a second. Let me get my footing. Okay. Ready? Go. Here we go. Now, let's stand it straight up like this. Point it down. Now, whoops, you okay?
Yeah.
Now, go in there. Just watch the Camaro. I don't care about the Mustang. Okay. Now, just tilt it up. Whoop. All right. However you can walk it over. Are you okay?
Yep.
All right, I'll hold this if you want to go to the other side now. Ooh. All right, here's good. Look at that. Yeah, this car would probably look pretty good with a cowl hood on it. Huh. That's Ford's design. Alrighty, guys. I'm just going to stop for a second because I'm dying. I need something to drink. I'll be right back. Alright, guys. I got some really bad news. I finished up all the sanding without you, and I'm sorry. And I know right now you're looking at it like, oh no, say this is so well. Yeah, I just couldn't bore you anymore. I'm sorry. So, and it was just nothing. We really just touched everything up. That's all we really got done. It's ready. So maybe tomorrow, if not tomorrow, the next day, this car should be in primer. And then disassembled and a bunch of stuff. But it's slowly getting there. And I found it was nice because I found my flex plate bolts. So now we can put the flex plate on and bolt the tranny and everything right up to the motor when the front end's off, and then we could just slide it right into place right in there. Game plan anyway. So, you know, it's pretty much it. Like I say, I think tomorrow, maybe just a little touching up and maybe just might put this car in a primer. We'll see. But I just wanted to keep you posted on what was going on with Patches, and Patches is just about there. Alrighty, so like I say, as always, I appreciate you guys watching, and you guys take care of yourselves.